Okay, yes, that's good progress. Okay, perfect. So now I just double check. Okay, yes, it's officially official. Now I'm going to record us. Okay, and then we're going to go right into it. All right. All right. Good morning, and welcome to this episode. I'm so excited to bring this very special guest to you today. This is one that I haven't had before. I don't think I've had a former pro surfer on the call who happens to be one of the top agents in the Laguna area, Southern California. So I just want to welcome the one and only Matt Clements to the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. I mean, you're a couple hours behind me, but you're an early bird because you are a surfer, right? So this is no big deal for you.
Actually, I'm on Hawaiian time still. I just got back from Hawaii.
That's right. That's right. So it's really early for you, and you still are here with me today. So I want to thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that. So thanks for being here.
You're welcome. It's good to see you again.
It's really good to see you. And here's the funny thing that I want to start with before we get into your story. Let's talk about how we met before, and then I'm going to read your bio and stuff like that. But how did you and I meet? I want to just talk about how small the world is, and then we'll get into the other stuff. But it's a pretty cool story. You want to tell it, or you want me to?
Yeah, Melanie. Last time I saw you was on the beach.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
we were
down.
at a contest. Yeah, I was the announcer, and your niece was in the event. Actually, I was in the event too.
Yeah, you were too. Yeah, and she was surfing there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were wearing that sweatshirt.
Was I?
You were.
Okay.
Okay, so this is funny. Okay, so I'm going to jump in on it. This is how small the world is. So I'm at the event, and my sister, my older sister Michelle, who you met, she's like, Melanie, 3:00, and I'm like, what? And I'm looking around because in LA there's always like code words for celebrities or whatever. So I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for. And she's like, the KW luxury sweatshirt, and then I saw you, and so I walked up to you, and that's how we met. And I'm like, hi, are you with KW? And you're like, yeah, I happen to be one of the top guys here. And I just also happen to be a surfer. And it was just such a small world. And so it's fun that our friendship started that day in the surfing world, but we're both KW people. So I had to have you on the show because there are no accidents in life.
There's none. And when you're a pro surfer, you have sponsors. And part of the obligation of sponsors is wearing their gear because you're a promotion rider. And you live, breathe, and you are the part. So, and I had many sponsors. I had up to 9 sponsors at one time when I was on tour because they all pay you a little bit. And so there's a lot of common denominators actually between pro surfing and being a pro realtor. And so whenever I go into my marketplace, I make sure that I wear something that identifies me as a real estate agent. It's really important.
It is. And that says so much about that subliminal marketing, right? Of like what you're wearing or whatever, because like literally you and I don't think we would have met, even though I know Reno very well. That's, your OP at your office. But that's how powerful that kind of stuff is just that, like that branding and even though it's unconscious and like you had with all of your sponsors you had. So I think that's pretty cool. Well, whatever it was, you did it right because it got you on this show. And I hope that my audience really gets to know you because I think you have a great story. And I'm super excited to introduce you to my listeners today. So with that, that's a fun little thing. I want to talk a little bit about your history, and then I want you to just tell us kind of your story. So I'm going to read your bio that you sent me. Okay. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool. All right. So I know it sounds weird when you listen to somebody else reading it, but here we go. Okay, an exceptionally well-connected fourth-generation real estate agent with 21 years of professional experience, Matt Clements brings an incredible breadth of industry knowledge, a proven track record of success, and a glowing reputation to his role at Keller Williams Luxury International in his hometown of Laguna Niguel, California. To date, his sales volume exceeds 100 million in California residential home sales. Founder of the Orange County Young Professionals Network, I think that's super cool. Author of the Professionals Network Playbook and CEO of the Clements Group. Matt has a stellar commitment and interest in both local and real estate, the local real estate realm and the industry on a national level. I love how involved you are on a national level with the blogs and stuff that you write. Matt was president for the Orange County Realtors, the largest realtor association in California. I didn't know that. That's where my sister lives, with over 17,000 members. He's also the youngest person to ever hold this elected office. Previously, in 2016, he served as chairman of the California Association of Realtors Young Professional Network, and then you won some state what is that? YPN State Network of the Year. Is that just like you guys were the best networking group? Is that what that is?
It's the biggest award you can get in the country for YPN.
Okay, amazing. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. I know that you're very active in that currently. And then you are very involved with YPM representing California, Hawaii, and Guam. Your role still includes meeting with members of Congress and state legislators to discuss current and proposed real estate related legislation. And lawmakers, I can't read today, apparently. Lawmakers often consider Matt's insight when weighing their decisions. That's really cool. Born and raised in Laguna Niguel, Matt is a devoted LA Dodgers fan, go Dodger Dogs, and LA Lakers fan. And he also competed as a professional athlete, a pro surfer. And we're going to talk more about that on this episode. And competed internationally on the World Surf Tour between 94 and 2000 before getting involved with the family business in 2001. I know it's very wordy, but I think it's really important because it's nice to know who you're listening to, because we're going to back up and tell your story. But I think it's really cool. Like, those are everything kind of like your one pager, but we want to dig deeper and really get to know who you are. So why don't you tell us, like, we know where you grew up, but give us, like, how was it growing up as Matt Clements? And thanks again for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the intro. I'm the middle of three brothers, very highly competitive. We all played soccer and baseball growing up. And my dad is a surfer, so he taught us all how to surf. And I really ended up having a passion for surfing, even though I played soccer and baseball at the highest level that you can go up to high school. We had a surf team at high school, and I'm 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. So I'm long. I have long arms and long limbs, and it's surfing is kind of it's really a shorter person's sport because you want to have a really low center of gravity. And I ride a shortboard and I like to do tricks. And so having that low center helps you do that. But I wasn't a great surfer when I was 14 and 15. In fact, I did the amateur circuit here in America called the NSSA, which I'm sure your niece does or did. And it's the national circuit where you get a national ranking at the end of the year. And I did it because my friend did it. And so I did the whole first year, and I lost first round, first heat the whole year in front of all my friends at 14 years old. And then the next year, I was sophomore, I did it again, and I lost first round, first heat the whole year. And so let me tell you learn a lot by losing. And when junior year came out, the summer in between, I ended up getting a coach. A coach identified me that was a big coach in Los Angeles. And he took me under his wing, and then I hired him, and then I got my first sponsor. And my first sponsor was just a local surf shop, but that gave me a little bit of confidence. And then I came out the next year, I did pretty good. And then my senior year, because we have surf team here at our local high schools, and surf team is a varsity sport here.
Yeah.
And there are nationals, as you know, and state championships. Well, I failed to make that team my first 3 years of high school. And here at Dana Hills, where I went to high school, if you're a surfer on surf team, you're really cool. And we had a big high school, over 4,000 people. And even though I had a lot of friends from soccer and baseball, surfing was a big part of my culture. And I posters on the wall. I really wanted to be a professional surfer. It was just every kid's dream here. And so I worked really, really hard. And from all that losing, I learned what not to do. And lots of common denominators when we can metaphorically put it into real estate. So I came out and did my tryouts for senior year to make the surf team. And unfortunately, the waves were 1 foot. That's really hard to do.
That does not leave for a lot of good scores, right? On a 1 foot surf. Yeah.
Yeah, and usually there's not many waves that come in when it's 1 foot either. So, and I had to compete, and you had 2 chances to get your total score. And we had a surfer. His name was, he's a really tall guy. We called him Stretch. And this is a pivotal moment because it was my second heat. I did okay, but I really needed to do really good in this heat to make the team. And that was my firm goal. I wanted to make the team, and then that would have taken me to where I wanted to at least be on that next step, and many, many steps on the way. So there was one set, or a big wave that came, a big wave, like a 2 foot wave. So that is like a group of waves. So we had a set that came in, and Stretch was in position for it. And my whole amateur career before that, I had learned how to lose by giving away waves to my friends. I was just really nice by nature, and I wanted my friends to win. And I didn't realize that you have to go get what you want. You can't just let it go, and you can't be passive. You have to really know what you want and then go get it. So Stretch being in position, and in that moment, I told myself, not today, not today. So he was getting ready to turn around and paddle on the wave, and I just paddled right inside of him and took the wave from him, and I ripped it all the way to shore, and I got the highest score of the heat, and I ended up making the team. I made what's called the top 12, and then I led my team to the state finals, and I did nationals right after senior year, and then I turned pro that summer. So it all
Okay.
happened pretty quickly.
Let's unpack that for a second, okay? Let's just unpack that for a second. So I love what you said. I love what you said because it's like you got out of your own way. And we talk about a lot failing our way to success. Like you don't succeed your way to success, you fail your way. Like you learn more from your mistakes than you do the good stuff, right? And so I love that you said you had to get out of your own way and you had just kind of lost a lot of your things by giving away the waves, right? And giving being nice and oh, you go ahead and but then that moment like the desire for you to win, playing to win, right? There it is, right there. For our listeners, I have a playing to win sign behind me. But when you get when you want to get what you want, you got to go for it. And you decided to go for it. And not only did you go for it in that moment, then you went for it. You led your team to, to greatness. That was a defining moment for you, big time, huh?
Yeah, there were two defining moments. That was definitely one of them. Another was, it's because there's a lot of confidence that you need to have in order to get there. And just like listing presentation, you have to practice it over and over and over and get really confident.
Yeah.
And then you can let your personality shine after you memorize it, or scripts and dialogues. I've written 3 scripts books, and same thing, you got to memorize them all. There's only about 110 total, and they come in different forms. But the second time was, there's a really good surfer here who's 2 years older than me. His name's Tim Daly. He still shreds to this day. Surfers remain incredibly fit, by the way. And I was pretty scared of this guy because he was just that good. And when I was in the heat, I was 14 years old. He was 16 years old. Well, I beat him. And I couldn't believe it because he's one of the best guys to ever come out of Salt Creek, my beach, which we produce a lot of great surfers, a lot of great pros.
Which is where
And
we met.
yeah, and when I beat him, that gave me the sense of, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And then I built a lot upon that.
Okay, so the confidence that you could, it's like, did you think you needed that moment to like get you to keep you going? That here's this person, it's one of the best surfers you'd seen, and yet you beat him. Like, what was it in that moment that changed the way you looked at that? Like, how was that such a defining moment? Was it just because you knew you could, or what was that for
I
you?
Well, so I there was a maneuver I was really good at when I was a kid. It's called a floater, and when you do it, the wave breaks like this, and you go up on your board, and you literally just float on the roof and then jump off. But it looks really aesthetically cool, and I was just really good at them. And it was actually that maneuver that made the difference. And it wasn't so much the maneuvers I did before that, but that wave, and after I had performed on the inside, there was just one more maneuver to do. And I remember even the color of wetsuit I was wearing, a blue and yellow wetsuit. I mean, 14 years old, remembering this
Oh,
stuff is it's pretty remarkable. I can tell you every detail about every pro heat as
I,
well, scores and everything, who I surfed against, all sorts of great memories. But I remember when I landed that maneuver, because I had done it so many times in practice, it was just like doing it one more time. I didn't really think about it. I was on autopilot. And when I landed, I heard the crowd roar. And so I knew I got a good score. I didn't know that I beat him, but then the results came when I got on the beach. And that was a big defining moment for me as a youngster. And then I knew I could do it. I go, if I could beat him, who else could I beat? And then that was the beginning. So, and just like real estate, it's just a series of steps. There's never going from here to here. Never. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, you have to build all your foundational pieces and then you build off each one.
Yeah.
I'm
You know,
21 my career now. This is my second career. And the same thing, I had to build off the beginning, even being
yeah.
multi-generational, my dad, grandpa, my great grandma, all being realtors. They gave me no business, none. They taught me a lot, but they never handed me a thing. I had to earn it all.
Well,
And
I want to talk more about that. So
yeah,
hold that button because I want to talk about how it transitions because I think athletes make really great real estate agents. So it's no surprise to me that you did what you did. But let's stay in the surf mode for just a second because I want to spend time on the real estate side too. So you win this you know, you have success in high school. And the discipline it took, like were you surfing every day? Like what kind of practice do you need to perform at the level that you were performing by the end of high school for you?
yeah, it's nearly every day. So the waves aren't always good, but when they are good, you surf. But I was also playing soccer, varsity, baseball, varsity, and so you have to squeeze them in. So the morning I had surf team, so I'm down at the beach at 6 a.m. and we're out at 8, and then I have soccer after, games or practice, and so I'm practicing multiple sports a
Wow.
lot,
Wow.
and it was nonstop. But I was young and vibrant and energetic. Once when I had a goal, then I knew what to aim for.
Hmm.
If you don't have a goal, you're not going to hit it, or you'll not hit it marvelously.
Did you have a favorite sport that you kind of wanted to go like cuz you had your foot in like three different things. Could you gone to either one of like any of them or did was surfing the one that was really calling you? Like how did you end up going the surfing route? Let's go there. What happened after our senior year or after high school? Like how did you pick that path?
Yeah, so it was tough to choose because I legit could have turned pro in one of three sports. I'm a left-handed pitcher. I was a really good pitcher too,
Oh, so you're a pitcher too. Okay. All right.
and incredible. Yeah, I was a junk pitcher, which is very valuable in baseball. And being a southpaw, that's a very rare thing to have. And so I was very valuable on my baseball team. Soccer, I was the center halfback, wore number 10, if that tells you something. I
Oh,
got a
wow.
scholarship to play soccer at Point Loma in San Diego. And eventually I turned that down to turn pro. There's a story behind that. My dad was very, very set on me going to college right out of high school. And when I got accepted and got the soccer offer, I mean, I'm going to Point Loma. And then something happened in between that. So I graduated June 16th. It was a really interesting year. That was the OJ year, and all sorts of sports things happened.
That was a weird
You know,
year. Yeah.
Nicole Brown grew up right here in Monterey Bay, right down the street. I live in Monterey Beach.
Yeah.
And we did nationals. So nationals were in June. And I did nationals. I actually thought I did really bad. And I ended up 25th in the nation. And, I beat some good guys. I ended up losing to a couple really good guys. And they all turned pro. We all turned pro. But that wasn't what I was set on. I was going to school come the end of August, early September to Point Loma in San Diego. And I mean, fully committed and everything. Uh, like I'm going to college. And then I had a phone call from a gentleman. His name is Steve Clark. In the surf industry, he's the most famous surf team manager in the world. And at that time, he was managing Gotcha Sportswear. When I was a kid, I used to draw their logo on my books all the time. In fact, my hero in surfing, he was sponsored by Gotcha. And so that was just my favorite company. And he called me and I thought I was in trouble because I had no reason why Steve was calling me. I thought I had just, I don't know, snaked the wrong guy or was made someone upset. I wasn't really sure. And he goes, "Hey, will you come into the office?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And the office is in Irvine, pretty close to us. So I drove 20 minutes, tail totally between my legs. And when I met with him, he goes, "Hey, Matt, I've been watching you for a couple years." And he was cued in by our photographer, who, if you look around, there's a lot of surf photos of me, kind of everywhere here. And my photographer and him had talked, and he goes, "Hey, I really think that this is a guy that you should bring on your team because he's an athlete." And I remember the photographer when I was on the beach for a photo shoot one morning. We shoot photos here in the morning when it's sunny. I was sitting next to him stretching out, and he was the head photographer, but also the photo editor for Surfing Magazine. So he's very in surf industry, most powerful guy because he's the one who picks the photos.
Yeah.
Happy to be
Very
the best.
influential, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Well, he goes, the difference, and he didn't talk to people really. He's a high introvert, but he was talking to me while I was stretching out, while we were shooting photos, getting ready to go out. And he goes, "Matt, you know the difference between you and all these other guys?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You're an athlete. All these other guys, they just surf good." And
Wow.
so when I met with Steve Clark, being very timid, 17 years old, I hadn't even turned 18 yet. I was supposed to turn 18 when going to college, so I'm a late bloomer. And he goes, "I've been watching you, and I really like what I see. And what I want to do is I want to offer you the opportunity to take your talents against the world's best." And he had a contract, and he slid it across the desk. And I turned around. I thought it was a joke. I was like waiting for cameras and stuff. Like,
You're
and
like,
he
wait,
goes,
me? This is for me?
"Yeah." He goes, "I already talked to your dad. So take a week, come back to me and give me an answer." Because the team managers, they have a budget that they spend, they pick their talent. And then by the end of December, they've already signed everyone. So everyone gets paid starting in January.
So your
So I
dad knew about this already by the time you had gone there. Your dad already knew that, had approval because you're underage at the time, technically, right?
officially, yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
could sign, but I couldn't keep any money. It goes to him or into my trust account. So
Right.
my dad was not happy. He's
Mhm.
like, "You're going to school. I know that you have this opportunity, but no, you're going to college." And so then, of course, I talked to my mom, and my mom, she's a very famous choreographer, and she goes, "Matt, this is once in a lifetime. You have to do this." And so I went back to my dad, and he told me, he was so mad. He's like, "You're playing soccer. You're going like in 3 weeks." And I could see his frustration. He goes, "Okay, okay, okay. 4 classes, junior college. You finish those, you have my blessing. You can go on tour." And I was picked for the California surf team for the Junior Olympics of surfing. And so I was heading to Florida for an event I think it was about 10 days after the offer came. And so I went to Florida, I competed, and my dad signed me up for the classes while I was out competing in Florida at Bastion Inlet. And so he signs me up for philosophy 1A, political science 1A, sociology 1A, philosophy, social science, and psych 1A.
Gosh.
And
Did you know what you
sent
were
me
going
to
to
go.
study? Did you even know like what you wanted to study at all?
No, this is back when you would use the phone to pick your classes. And I didn't know how to do it. He did it for me.
Oh,
And
good
then he
goodness.
sent me the bookstore to get the books. And the books were like that thick each. And so I got the books, put them in my backpack. They must have weighed 30 pounds. And he goes, "All right, so you know what to do." And I'm a really good student. I was scholar athlete, the whole deal. And I eventually went to college, dean's list, everything. So I was an A B student always. First time in my life, got straight C's. But I
Okay.
finished, and he goes, "You have my blessing."
Oh,
And so that was it. I was off on tour.
wow. Wow. So you had to meet his requirements. So once dad is, once you did that one semester and committed to that, then what happened after that? Then you were free to do what you wanted, which is follow this passion. So was the guy that gave you the offer, was he willing to wait for you for that? Or did you go a different route? Like, did he sponsor you? Did you have that opportunity then? Or did you have to
Uh,
rebuild that after the school thing?
so I signed right when I turned 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was off on tour. Here's the funny part is, so I go up to my professors, and day one, after first day of class, I go up to him and I go, "Hey, my name's Matt Clements. I'm a pro surfer, and I just want to let you know I'm going to be gone for about half of the semester, surfing and competing. I just want to let you know up front." And a lot of them are really cool. In fact, I had an economics professor that I told him that up front, And he goes, I know who you are. I'm a big surf fan. And there's only two things you get graded on. It's the midterm and the final. And I remember I was traveling and I came back and I did the midterm and I was the last one to finish. He goes, how did you think you did it? I go, I think I did really good. And I did. I got third best in class, big classes though. But on the curve, it was an A. And he was really proud of me. And then I went to Hawaii as a pro surfer. You go to Hawaii for almost 3 months in the winter. So it's the end of October, all of November, and half of December. There's 3 events. There's actually 4 events if you do them all. There's a pre-event and 3 called the Triple Crown. And so I remember I came back for this professor and I took the final and I was the last one to finish, 3-hour final. And everyone had these big poster boards, like this project. And I'm like, clueless. I
Oh
go,
no.
what is?
Oh no.
And so I turned it in. I asked the same question. He goes, how do you think you did? I go, I did good, really good. But what's this project? And he came up to me, even though I was the only one in class, he came up to me and he goes, don't worry, you get an A.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
and that was a big moment for me. Um, just knowing that I had support and that I could do it all. And it wasn't like I was by myself. I felt really good about being forthright with him up front. And
That's what it was though. That's what it was. That says a lot about who you are, is you weren't trying to hide something. Like, you're very fully transparent with them and said, hey, listen, I'm a pro surfer. I'm going to be doing this. I'm really not going to be around. How do we make this work? Right. And I think you probably won them over, that just because you showed up that way instead of just not, right? That's called playing all in, I think. I think that's awesome. And then
but
you
that was
just,
an interesting moment because I had done those 4 classes, done tour for 5.5 years. And
oh,
then I had a moment on tour. I was in Japan and my teammate who's from Hawaii, we were there for 3 events in a row and we were staying together in a house. I had the car. I had the international driver's license. I'm the driver too. We're hanging out for probably almost 2 months at that point, and he straight up disappeared. And I called my sponsor. I had a Japanese sponsor at the time who was funding us to be there. And I go, Shintaro, where's Kevin? And he goes, what? I go, he's gone. Like, all his stuff is gone. Like, his board bag is closed, everything. The house is empty. He's not here. I remember he got in a fight with his fiance back in Hawaii on the phone, or a dispute. I stay out of that, but when you were staying with someone internationally, you're solo. And when you're with someone else, you guys are legit travel partners. You eat every meal together. You talk to each other, surf every day. People are watching you, and then you take a lot of solace in being inside because then you're away from the public. And so I got to know him really good. But at the time, he was 10 years older than me, and I was about 50 rankings higher than him in the world rankings. And when he left, I knew that he got fired, and he did. And
wow.
um, so that was that moment to where I go, okay, well, I don't want to be him in 10 years still trying to make it. I had fulfilled all my goals already in pro surfing at that point, still very young. And that's when I took that economics class. And that was the seed for me to get out of pro surfing and go back to college. And after I finished that economics class and he told me that I get an A, he added one more thing. He goes, you know that really pretty girl that sits up front, the redhead with the curly hair, the quiet one? I go, yeah. He goes, take my macroeconomics next semester and sit next to her, because she was the best student in class. And sure enough, I ended up dating her for 3 years after that. Yeah,
Love that.
yeah. And,
I mean,
we
that's
both
taking it to a whole new
finished.
level, Matt.
Yeah, you never know what your influences are going to be, but that was my transition out of pro surfing. And then once
Okay.
once I graduated UC Irvine, then got my real estate license and started in commercial. And I graduated when I was 25 years old, and I jammed through UC Irvine. I did summer school twice, 2 classes each summer, and just finished in 3.5 years total.
Wow. That's a
So,
lot.
and then that was the beginning of my real estate career. I was in commercial. I hated it. I was in Anaheim, that's inland for us. So anything
Yeah.
away from the beach is not cool. And I switched to residential after 8 months, and my mom goes, "This is really significant that you're a realtor now." And I go, "Why?" My dad, so my grandpa was super rich. He owned 46 homes. I mean, anything we wanted for Christmas, we got. That was one of the one of the deals he made was we would line up after Thanksgiving to my grandma, and we would have to actually ask what we wanted for Christmas and be very specific. I mean, when you're a kid, you're like, "Oh, I want that Tonka truck, the one that drives, red. You get it at Toys R Us, and model number 6304 R760." And you got one gift. And so she wrote it down, but everything we asked for, we got. So the lesson was if you ask for something and you're very specific, you're probably going to get it. So he would
Wow.
teach us lessons along the way.
Mm.
Grandpa's really instrumental. And my mom goes, "It's so significant that you're a realtor. Your grandpa's been at this for over 50 years now." My grandpa was a realtor for 53 years. And he was president of his association twice. That's why I decided to become president, because he was my inspiration. And my great grandma, she was on the board too, but my grandpa was the real, like, the legit top dog. He was awesome.
That's
And there's
amazing.
pictures of him with Walt Disney, pictures of him still in restaurants in Anaheim, ribbon cutting for the Anaheim Stadium, the whole deal. He was big time. And so when I got into residential, then I realized what I was getting into, and then the significance. And then, of course, Grandpa, he passed away within a year of that. So he passed away in 2004. He got cancer in 4 places.
I'm sorry.
And yeah, it was tough. When he got diagnosed, it was just, home hospice. And I had closed my first deal and 2004. And he made sure that I got my check and I held it above my head, and he took the photo of it, and he wanted me to keep that photo. So we were at home at his house, the big house, and there was nurses in the kitchen, my mom and aunt, my cousins were, I think, in the pool or playing billiards in the pool room, or they were just away. Grandpa and I, huge baseball fans, we were watching a ball game on the couch on, he had this, back then, those big screens, like big ones. And it was just him and I. And I remember he had layers of blankets on him, probably like 6, 7, or 8 layers of blankets. He was very frail, my height, 130 pounds at that point. And in my head, I remember my mind goes, "Ask him, ask him, ask him." So I got the courage. I leaned over. He's in his love seat, and I go, "Hey, Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa." And I thought he was sleeping, and he like shook and woke up and opened his eyes. I go, "Grandpa, what's the secret to real estate?" And he sat up and leaned over, and his voice was very not gone, but it was pretty close. And so he whispered, and he goes, "See the people."
Mm.
And then he went right back into his like sleep state, see the people. And so I took that to heart. And when I started working by referral, I'd been coached since 2010. My coach at that time was teaching me everything my grandpa used to do. So it was like open houses, farming, like knocking on doors. And I had to really question my coach, because I realized my coach at that time, he never sold real estate, not even once, not even a house ever. His dad was a coach.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, so I'm doing all these activities. And then my coach at the end of the year, he goes, we had to add up all my closings and then where they came from. Well, they were all by referral, all of them.
All of them. So 100% referral source.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
once I figured that out, guess what I did the next year? I switched coaches.
Yeah,
and I,
yeah, exactly.
I went to Brian
Growing.
Buffini. Because I was like, well, if I'm going to work by referral, I'm going to do it from the expert and someone who actually sold real estate.
Yeah.
And once I went to Buffini and Company with my coaching, and then I started really working by referral, I did 2 significant things the following year. I tripled my business,
Mm.
and I doubled my free time, and I started vacationing quarterly. And that was a major difference. So instead of slaving and doing all this marketing up till midnight that really went out to no one, I outsourced that for the first time. And then I made a schedule, I knew what I had to do every day. And so I just did it. And I treated it a lot like pro surfing, to where you got to show up every day, got to be around the best. Um, you know, you have to work with photographers. Being a pro surfer, you got to live, breathe the part, be the part. Not, and I'm dressed down today because it's my half day off a week. But if I'm in the marketplace, and like yesterday, I was at a photo shoot for a new listing, and my client, who's my past client now, second home I've sold his. Oh, well, I always wear a three-piece. And there's a lot of articles that are written about me, and it's funny when I'm in the marketplace or down at Salt Creek, you're either going to see me in two types of suit, a wetsuit or a business suit. And that's real.
I love that. Yes.
It's very real. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That's who you are though, right, Matt? It's who you are.
Yeah. And then when I started doing what's called pop buys, I used to give away stuff that were, very, very driven by the coaching company. And then when you're coached, just like surfing, you have sponsors, and they'll change from time to time. Either you get bored of them, they get bored of you. I would also change coaches every few years. And my coach, his name's Billy, great coach, and he goes, "I want you to do you." And so I started going back to the people that would support me. So I went to a wax company and got a couple big boxes of wax, and I put a logo on the outside. I go, "Hey, is it okay if I cover your logo with a sticker and give it away?" And they go, "Oh yeah, no worries." And it was stick with a pro, and I would just give away wax at events, just slang it all day and just give it away.
I love
And
that.
then I got
Love that. It's
sunscreen,
brilliant.
and I found the right size bottle. Sunscreen's hilarious, by the way, because Will Ferrell grew up here, really close to Irvine. So I have this really funny photo of Will. He's my older brother's age, and they look alike too. It's funny. So he's in. This is so fun. Will Ferrell. So he has, of course, all makeup, but he had this outline here where it was his eyes were really white, and he was just straight sunburned his whole body, and he's in a Speedo. Like this really awkward looking photo of Will Ferrell in a Speedo. And obviously, with the goggles. And it says, "Don't get burned by choosing the wrong realtor."
Oh my gosh.
And I hand that out, and people just laugh their heads off. They're like, "You are so funny." And I started to make people laugh, and they really responded. And it's a best icebreaker. And people just really, they dug in to who I am. When I go on trips now, because I still vacation quarterly. My next trip is going to be to Mexico, to this place actually. And
Very nice.
yeah, and I make sure I do that because I read a great book called The Power of Full Engagement. It's actually just right over there, by Michael Gerber. Or no, that one is Dr. Schwartz. Yeah. So anyway, I'm a huge avid reader, by the way. And so this book is all about the charge and then the recharge. Charge, recharge, charge, recharge. And I'm able to recharge by surfing, and that fulfills me. And then, really after 3 days being out of the country or being on a trip, I'm good. I'm bored on the fourth day. I'm thinking of new business ideas on the fourth day.
Your next Popeye, your next fun little thing. Listen, are your trips all surf related, like places that you can go surf? Is that what you like? Like you're just Hawaii, and so now Mexico. So are you picking places where you actually surf when you're away quarterly? Is that how you base those decisions? Where you go?
Yeah, exactly. So my 4 trips a year have been pretty consistent. So I do a trip with my 7-year-old. Just father and son. We go to Hawaii. We go to Waikiki every year. It's just our thing.
Nice.
And even though we didn't surf this trip, we were on the beach in Waikiki every single day, body surfing and in the pool, because he's 7. He likes to just play, and I don't pressure him. He surfs, but I mean, he's a better soccer player than anything else. He shreds. He wears number 10 too. They call him Messi. That good. So we do Hawaii, and then I do a birthday trip. So my birthday's at the end of summer, and so that's a surf trip. That's just a straight surf trip. And I typically will go to the places I love the most. I go to a place in deep southern Mexico where I fly into Huatulco, and the wave is one of the best waves in the world, called Barra de la Cruz. And I have a brother, like a Mexican brother. So he picks me up, takes care of me, he's my security. His brother's this big buff guy. And
Nice. That's
yeah,
awesome. I
it's
love
awesome. So
that.
I'll go there. And then I do go to Texas. I've been to Austin. I spoke for the Board of Realtors. I've been to San Antonio. I spoke a couple times there before, but I'll fly in usually to Austin.
I know. I can't believe that when you told me that. I'm like, that's so cool. I can't wait till you're here.
Yeah, and then I'll go out to Waco and surf the wave pool for a couple days.
And you said it's really good there, right? You said it's actually, here you are, former pro surfer, been surfing all your life, and you said it's pretty good, right?
It's really good. Yeah, the wave is made by a company down here in San Diego. There's only 12 people in the water. It's a very international flavor. Last time there was a Kiwi guy from New Zealand who was on a bodyboard. Half of them are beginners.
I love
And
that so
so
much.
yeah, and you don't talk to people in the water really there because you're just kind of working to get waves. But everyone goes in the jacuzzi after, and so that's a really special time because there's a wall that the wave breaks against, and guys and girls they'll just try to get it wired. It's like a really good repetitious opportunity to improve your skills. Well, I mean, I can spray over the wall, and there's a photographer, and I have a lot of photos from those trips, and so I don't say anything in the water. I just perform. It's very much like Salt Creek. You just go out and you do your thing. You don't need to talk. You let your actions do the talking. And in the jacuzzi, like some people don't know, they're like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, you
Like
just
you
meet
surf
interesting
insane.
people, right? Yeah.
And so then the camaraderie comes together. So Texas is typically done. Also, I'll do a couple trips back to back. So I'll do the Mexico or Indonesia I've done, or next year is going to be Jeffreys Bay in South Africa. Somewhere that's a place that I really want to surf in the world that suits my surfing. And then Texas is on the map for me. It has been for several years in a row. And then I business plan in October. So I'll do Santa Cruz here in California, which is a hour flight away. It's a place where I used to compete at Steamer Lane. I loved it up there, still love it up there. And so I'll get my plan and I'll bring it up to Santa Cruz. I'll surf for a couple days. I usually do it over New Year's because I don't go out. I don't party. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I just surf and work, and I'm a dad, and I'm a pretty simple life. And so I'll go up there, and what I'll do at night is I'll usually have Sports Center on in the back because I also don't watch TV, but I'll watch my favorite baseball teams. I'll watch, especially my Dodgers and the Lakers, and I'm watching soccer a lot
All the
too.
good teams.
Well, for when you grow up in
Hey, I grew
my
up going to those same people, so I get it. I totally
yeah,
get it.
it's just part of you. Same thing, in Dallas, it's like the Mavericks and the Rangers, and or wherever you're from, you got your teams, and I own my business plan is what I do. So
Yeah.
I write it a couple months before it's done by Halloween, but then there's an ownership part. So you have to really absorb your business plan. So then I'll come home because January 1st is a holiday. So I'll come home usually on the 2nd, sometimes the 3rd, depends on when the day falls. So, if it falls on New Year's Eve falls on a Friday, then the Saturday is a day off. Sunday is a day I come home. And Monday, I'm just all guns blazing. And I work harder, by the way, in December and January than any 2 months of the year by far, because that's when people take off. And I want to come out strong. That's really important. So that's my 4 trips.
I
Yeah.
love
And then
that.
I try not to ever travel in spring because for leadership and national and state, when I was president, I traveled 26 round trips.
Oh
That's
my,
every other week.
oh my
It was
goodness.
just like I was on surf tour.
That's a whole job. Yeah, that's like a whole exactly. That's a big time commitment for sure.
You want to? This is hilarious. So Kenny Parcell from Utah, he was NAR president a couple years ago. They're all my bros. I went to Costa Rica for a surf trip, and then because I had to go to Chicago in August for this leadership event because National is in Chicago on Michigan Avenue. So I went straight from California to Costa Rica to Chicago, and I checked into the hotel and I had my board bag. I brought 3 boards, and I saw my buddy Kenny Parcell. It's a huge group of leaders, so all the biggest leaders from across the country. We're all friends. We're all really good friends. And Kenny, he's this loud, bald, handsome guy, and he goes, "Okay, Matt Clements." He goes, "When was the last time you went surfing?" It's like 1 o'clock local time Chicago. And I go, that's why I love you. You're the man. And you know, that was true. I woke up that morning, surfed before I jumped on my flight, got to Chicago, had my board bags, and there I was. And that's just who I am. That's what I do. That's why I
Okay.
work.
I
It's that
love
simple.
that so I love that so much. I love that so much. And there was a little bit internet connection, so hopefully they heard that. But what I heard was that he said, "When's the last time you surfed?" And you said that morning. Is that what you said?
I said this morning in
Yeah.
Costa Rica.
Ah, that's amazing. I love that
And
so much. I love that so much. But you know what I'm getting from your story, and we always say like a zebra doesn't change the stripes, is like you have just found this beautiful way to be yourself in life, right? And you works in your business and your personal and all the things, you know, your dad, all these things. You found this really beautiful way to have a really fulfilling, like living in the now life. And I know you work a lot, and that's very clear that you're very purposeful, but you know what I mean? But you're also living, and you're being very like authentic and transparent. And what I feel like with a lot of people that I consult with lately is a lot of people, you know, they're missing joy in their life, right? And they're feeling this sense of, you know, they aren't satisfied and things like that. And I don't get that from you. Like the minute I met you, I'm like, man, this dude like loves his life. You've got a great life. You're living it. You still surf. So you've made surf part of who you are today. And yet you found this career that just happens to be in your blood because you're fourth generation. I mean, how cool is that, right? And so like what do you think? What do you think it is? Because your life today, you're a solo agent, you have an admin, right?
yes.
Right. It's you and an admin, and you do a lot. What's your average sales price?
1,469,000.
That's amazing. I knew it was going
Yeah.
to be up there. I knew it was going to be up there. And that's incredible. And you've sold over $100 million in sales, and that's probably more than that since you wrote that bio. But think about like you look at your life and where you are today and where you want to go tomorrow. Like what excites you the most when you look at your life right now?
I really like photo shoots a lot. So we did a photo shoot yesterday, a new listing. I focus primarily on listings. My grandpa said, if you list, you will last.
Yep.
And I took that to heart, especially with what's coming up is, you know, we have this transition that's happening. I just finished a podcast for NAR for the mental health of our members through this. And so I
For all the
focus on
changes.
listing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I work with my stager a lot. I'll be at another listing today. So we're staging at noon, photo shoot at 2. And so I love dressing up homes and getting them from where they, you know, were to where they need to be. And I make them like a suite at the Ritz-Carlton is my goal.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's a big deal for me to make these transformations. So that gets me off, you know, in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
have photos that
amazing.
are going to be coming from yesterday. So I'm excited to see those. I'm excited to share them. I love the marketing. I love doing videos.
And that's
Yeah.
so much part of it, Matt. Sorry to interrupt you, but just
Yeah.
real quick on the transforming the properties one by one, you know, like staging it and then the photos and the video, like making it all beautiful because you don't get a second chance for that. You know what I mean? And there's such a lot of people are not visual people, like they can't imagine it. So, right, if you're going to pay, and I know in California, you know, I'm from there, right? My whole family's out there. I know what it costs in California to live. And so like if you're going to get 1.4 or 7 million or whatever on a property, you know, sometimes people are surprised what that will get you out there, right? And so you've really got to make that in anywhere in any market that you're in. You've always got to show it your best and shiniest way because people have a hard time imagining what it could be, and if they can't see it, then they're going to expect that they get a good deal on it, right? And so I love that that's a big deal for you. Like, will you let an ugly listing come on your with your name on it?
No, never. I have clients, so I try not to do rentals, but if I do, I'll do it on the listing side because
Thank
it's
you for helping my sister, by the way.
you're welcome. She's super cool. She was really grateful for the call. And so I professionally shoot every property no matter what because that's my reputation.
Okay.
And when you know our clients are online and they look at it and they click through thousands of times it seems like during the process and share it with their family. I know one thing is, and I have a cut line. I go, if we go past 21 days and we don't have an offer or we're not in escrow, um, something's got to change, and it's either price,
Yeah.
or price
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we've nailed the marketing, location is where it is, and it's price.
Yeah.
And I know that here the buyers, they're very sophisticated here. Half of them are cash. We have a lot of California cash floating around right now. And if they walk into a listing and they say a magical 3-letter word, I've got them. They will pay full price every time. And sometimes over, I average 103% from start to finish. And if they walk in the property and go, wow, and then I've got them. I will sell that home. Like, there's 2 properties that we're debuting on Friday because it's a holiday on Thursday, but I fully expect to sell both of them by the end of the weekend, and I will. One for sure, yeah. No, both for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think both. I think you got both. You know what I love is you obviously know how to articulate your value, and right now, it's always been about value, and I know that is for you, but I think a lot of agents haven't really tapped into the value within themselves, right? And I know that you've done a lot with YPN and with NAR and stuff, talking about all the changes, and you've sent me the podcast that you're on for something else. But think about like your value, the value you bring. There's so much noise out there right now, right? With the new forms that just are rolling out and these changes coming. And I try not to make this too specific on a time, because I like these to be timeless interviews. However, there's a lot of navigating going on right now on value and mindset. And like, what have you had to do? Is there anything that you've had to change, Matt, about yourself or your approach, or has this been a pretty natural flow? Are you having different conversations than you had before, or any adjustments you've had to make in the way you present yourself with your value for your clients?
But just finishing the NAR podcast, this is a very familiar topic. I frame it like this: listing agents just got a raise, buyer's agents just got a pay cut. So which side do you want to be on? So I stay on the listing side. My mindset has not changed whatsoever. I know there's a lot of people that are uneasy or pseudo freaking out about this. I'm not. I'm excited. Actually, I like stuff like this. I've been through a major brand change before. With my previous company of 13 years was Prudential, and then it went to Berkshire Hathaway. There's just a lot of freakouts there, and I didn't get it. I thought it was a great thing. Half the agents left. I don't know why. I was like, Warren Buffett's our owner. Let's roll with it. We're good. Nothing has changed for me. I know that my general counsel and my broker are doing a lot of work with our agents, and they're answering a lot of questions. It doesn't bother me at all. Nothing's going to change. I'm going to still do what I do and do my daily action checklist. And it went from a pros market to a pros market.
That's what I'm talking about though, right? And
Yeah.
you're a pro, in all the levels. You're pro in the water, and you're a pro, on land with the houses, right? And so for you, and I find that again and again, Matt, even people that were not pro athletes or whatever, the people that are really pros in what they do, like they're like, okay, we're just navigating, right? This is what we do because they do bring so much value. And I think it's the people that are frustrated, or maybe they're fearful about it. They just need to lean in and get the education. Like we're doing class after class on all of this stuff just to help people, because so much of what we do is confidence and knowledge, and you just got to lean in and embrace. There's always change, right? And when you really though believe in what you do is a value to people, then it's never going to be an issue, right? And I think it comes down to kind of confidence. Wouldn't you believe or agree with that?
But I think it's a lot like big wave surfing, actually. So big wave surfing is scary. It can kill you. I mean, there's guys that die every year. I've lost friends from drowning. Um, that's real, very real. And but in big wave surfing, it's all about preparation. So you don't go out and surf 30-foot surf and not know how to hold your breath underwater. And I've almost drowned twice, once really close.
Wow.
And that story, when I speak nationally across the country, I tell that story. That's how I open up, because it just gets real quick. And because when things go bad, they go bad fast. But if you're prepared and you know what to do in those situations, you're going to be fine. And today we have jet ski assistants, and and there's a lot of ways that you can relate that in real estate. You have your manager that's there for you. If you're on your team or your team leader, they can be there for you. But you got to be ready, and you have to be super sharp up here, and you have to be super confident in your abilities. And then, like pro surfing is, you show up every day, you do the work. When I was on tour, I was usually surfing twice a day, once in the morning, for sure, and with the photographers, and then in the afternoon just to hone my skills. Didn't matter what the waves were like, whether big, medium, small, super flat, super good. I would always just go out because that's me practicing. So you can say like that's your scripts, mastering your dialogues, knowing what to say, when to say, putting your personality to it. If you have a daily action checklist, that's massive. My 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 has been game changing for my career. 5 phone conversations with your A's or A pluses, 4 lead follow up conversations, 3 handwritten notes, set 2 appointments every day, have an appointment every day. You do that 5 days a week, 45 months or 45 weeks a year. I call it winning the day. If you do that, if I win the day, do my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If I'm done at 2, where I go at 2:30.
I know where to find you.
Yeah, that's a great
Next time
place
I'm
to
down
look.
visiting, I'll just go down there and find you after that. I'll be like, did he get his work done? Okay, there he
That's
is.
one of
He
my
had a good day.
farms. Yeah,
I bet it is. No
yeah,
kidding. I was
yeah,
talking to you and everybody's like, everybody. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to take away from your lead gen time because like literally everybody, you knew everybody. I'm like,
Oh,
what a
my
great
sweetheart
lead
is
gen.
I warn her up front. I go, I apologize in advance. She's a high introvert, and I go, everywhere we go, I'm sorry. Someone's going to stop me, I'm sure, to say hi or want to talk or shake my hand. I'll do my best to make it quick, and that's real. It's my I've I have a regular farm, of course, but 2 primary farms that feed me the most. Salt Creek, huge, and my high school. Actually, I go all the way. I have clients I went to kindergarten with. I just had
Wow,
my
that's
class
amazing.
reunion. Just had and I threw it. I threw the party.
So
You know
smart.
what's even better? This is hilarious. I went to the reunion company, and it's called Great Reunions. And they go, oh yeah, you should have like, 80, 85 if you spend like a year planning it. And then I walked out the door, and they're like, huh? And I walked back in, and I shook their hand. I'm like, hi, my name's Matt Clements. It's really nice to meet you. And I go, we're going to have at least 200. And they're like, how do you, we've never had that. I go, show me your database. And when they pulled out their database, which by the way, if your database is your whole business,
Yeah.
if you don't have a database, you don't have a business. I'll start there. And I was looking at the names and looking at the addresses, and I'm like, they sold that house like 20 years ago. No wonder they're not getting the invite. And I'm looking at emails. I'm laughing. I'm like, no offense. I'm like, at msn.net, at AOL. I'm like, dude, nobody uses those anymore. Like my grandma might. We have to redo the database.
Yeah.
And so I redid my entire high school classes database. Good and bad, good. Got everyone's phone number, address, and email.
Wow.
Bad, discovered there were about 10 that passed away. So and then so on the reunion, I'm just like my coach said, I throw tons of parties through the Young Professionals Network. I mean, hundreds. And for the reunion, same thing. I'm just the stir that straws the drink. I want them to have a good time, but I'm at the center of everything. And so they'll go back at the end. There's a lot of photos that came from the last reunion. They're like, thank you, Matt Clements, for putting this together. And then I had my other classmate who owns this awesome bar and restaurant. And I go, Damien, why don't we have it at your place? I'd rather you have the business than some, knucklehead out there that I don't even care about. Let's do it at your place. It'd be epic. Plus it's Indiana Point. It's perfect. And so he goes, great. So we hosted it. We spent like $300 on appetizers, $100 on champagne. Everyone is so happy. And again, I'm at the center of it, and I'm not looking for glory or credit. I really don't care about that, but they recognize it, and they go, because it means so much to them to get together with their classmates. And some of the people I went to high school, again, it goes all the way back to elementary school for sure. One of my favorite clients, actually, it's funny. I'm at the reunion, and I was talking to one of my classmates who I didn't even recognize.
That
And
happens. That
he goes,
happens.
oh my gosh, they all know what I do. All of them. I don't know what they all do. And he goes, oh yeah, I do house renovations and da 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 da. And we're chatting, and I go, oh yeah, see Pat Twominen over there? I go, he's probably my favorite client. And we've done like 7 deals together. He's epic. And I go, see Sean Peacher over there, who I've played soccer with since I was 7. I go, yeah, I sold him his house, and his wife, Jenna Peacher, friends since kindergarten. And I was going, yeah, they're my client, they're my client, they're my client, they're my client. And that was only the people that were there.
Wow. Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? It's
It's
about
just,
creating community though. And it's so authentic when you do it though, Matt. And that's what I want people here. And yes, you've lived there your whole life, you know? So people that don't have that, it's never too late to start, right? Like look how involved you are with YPN. And I mean, there's so many ways to get involved in different communities but just being that platform for everybody. Okay. So before we're out of time, I have to ask you just one question. Okay. You ready? Did I lose you?
yeah, YPN feeds me incredible as well, by the way. That's
Oh, that's
what brought
awesome.
me out to speak in Austin, was
Oh yeah.
speaking for the board, for your CEO at the time. And then turns out that we had Emily Bibby, a great mutual friend. She's
I know
awesome.
she's amazing.
Yeah, I remember when she started. She was great. She is great. She's the bomb.
I
So that's a
know. It's
friend.
awesome. Such a small
I was
world.
in. I spoke with Philip Becker at that event. He was the president of San Antonio board. Tommy Choi, who's just like a
Great guy.
super.
Yeah.
He's one of my best friends in the world. I
Yeah.
love Tommy. He's the Tommy the Bommy. He's epic. I have a client right now that their buyer, they're buying up in LA. The referral was from Tommy, KW agent, who met Ada, KW agent in Michigan. And then she's referred at least 3 or 4 really good clients to me. And it all reflects back to my friendship with Tommy. And that goes back to YPN. I mean, we both served on the national board. He was the national president.
Yeah.
I'm just the West Coast guy.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, it's epic.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so you got to,
community. It's community. Yeah. Real quick,
it's
what year
tribes.
it is
It's tribes.
tribes, creating
Yeah.
creating your tribes in your community. What year did you join Keller Williams? How long's it been now that you joined Keller Williams?
It's been newer for me. So I think I'm just started my 4th year.
Okay, awesome.
They recruited me. My goodness. So Reno, love Reno, by the way.
Reno, good friend of mine. He's
Love
amazing.
him.
Hi, Reno, if you're listening.
Yeah, I love Reno. I've always loved Reno. We do broker preview here on Thursdays, and I don't think it was just broker preview, but there was a lot of times I'd be on the microphone. We have very well attended broker preview here, over like 120 attendees every
Oh,
single
wow.
week.
That's a lot. That's a high attendance. Yeah.
Yeah, and Laguna Niguel is very well attended, and I would be pitching my property and stop in the middle, and I go, Reno, I love you. And then I go back. Oh, and this one is a 5-bedroom, 4-bath. Very.
I'm sure he loved that. I'm sure he loved that.
Oh,
He's
well,
such a cool guy.
it's
Such a
all about
good guy.
relationships.
It is. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful human. So, Reno, if you are listening, you are loved by both of these people on this podcast. Okay, last question because we got to wrap up, and I know we're over time, and I'm so like thankful for your time today. But one question I ask all my guests is, what does playing to win look like for you? Because you talked about winning the day a little bit, so you kind of touched on it, but I love that answer. Like, what does playing to win look like for Matt Clements?
Yeah. Playing to win is expecting to win. So my dad will attest to this. This is very true. When I want something and it's identified, I go and get it every time. And that's with everything in my life. And that translates to business, listings. At one time it was YPN, everything. My sweetheart, like I want it, I go get it. And so I have this laser focus when I want something. I know I'm going to get it up here, and then I just put my whole heart into it. Yeah.
I love that
Playing to
answer.
win, I suppose you can do a couple, and I'm just going off the cuff here. I didn't prepare any of these answers. When you play to win, you have to have a target. You have to know what you're aiming for. My coach taught me this a long time ago. And if you don't know what you're aiming for, you're going to hit it with amazing accuracy. And when I had a goal to be a pro surfer, that was a very clear goal as a young man. I'm not even an adult yet. And that was a 5, it ended up being a 6-year goal. And then when I wanted to go and go back to university. And that was another very clear goal. Finished it. And then you can do that in your business. You can say, I want to build a farm, and in 5 years, I'm going to own the farm. And there's a very clear goal. Or you can do a production goal and have a number and go, I'm going to hit that number. And when you write that down, you'd be surprised. You're going to come really, really close. One of the funnest things that I've done over the years is when I write my goals down, so Playing to Win, is at the end of the year. So on that Santa Cruz trip, you can review your goals, own the next one. One of the funnest parts is I'll take out a pen on my vision statement, because I write them into a vision statement for my life. So, I date a year forward, letter to myself. I sign it at the bottom and I say, I'm so proud of the fact that, and I'll write what I want to earn, where I want to travel, who I want to be in relationship with, what my family relationships are, what my relationship with my son is. And I'll pack that all into a one page, but then part of the joy is checking it off. Mm-hmm. Oh, I traveled to Hawaii, Mexico, Texas, and then what I earned, what I saved, all that stuff's in there. And you'd be surprised. I end up checking off probably about 4/5 of the stuff that I write down. And sometimes they're pretty hairy, audacious goals, and be surprised you hit those too. Yeah. Almost to the number.
For sure. No doubt. The biggest, I travel around the country and teach, and that. And it's so interesting when I work with higher level people, it's like part of the problem sometimes is just articulating what that is for them, right? Like, what is that I want to do? And being able to take the ceiling off and what are those things? And then it's so shocking what you actually can do, right? When you put your mind to it. Because at first the biggest challenge is just deciding like what that actually is. You know what I mean? Like knowing what that is to put on that list so that you can do it and you can check it off, right? Like that's there's so much power in what you just said. And I think when you know it, first you have to know it. You have to have clarity so that you can, pull yourself towards that. And it's
the power of the
incredible.
Yes. There's a difference too.
Yes.
Right here in your brain, there in the back is called your reticular activation system.
Yep.
And when you write down on a piece of paper, not digitally, there's a difference. And I do blue, not black, by the way. And yes. So, and there's a synapse. So you can do about 10,000 unique characters in one stroke of the pen. But when you write it down on paper, that synapse connects to your brain. And the more that you read it in the morning, read it at night in front of a mirror, read that vision statement, watch it come to life. There's a massive power in the pen when you write these down. That's the major difference. And then when you write stuff down, put it into a journal. Because I read so much and I write a lot of things, this is where all the good stuff lives. This is the glue that holds everything together, the journal.
I love that so much. Okay, we're wrapping up. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to share with our listeners today, my dear? Because that was so good. I appreciate you so much being on today.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think that I probably talked more than answering some questions, but I can just say some things off the cuff. Show up every day, play with the kids, do the right thing, give your 100% best, show other people that you care, wash your car twice a week, have fun, smile a lot. You do a little, a lot. What that means is there's a lot of little things you have to do, but you do little things a lot. So have fun and be creative with them. Enjoy yourself, make clear goals, write a vision statement, fully understand your why. When you do that, now you know why you're working, because there are dark days. There are hard days. And when you know your why very clear, then it's really easy to get out of what I call ollieing over the speed bumps. You just ollie right over it and just keep going. And clear goals and digging into your why is everything. Because now you understand why you're even in this business. And I have fun, a lot of fun. And I make that a high priority. My clients, they feed off it. They love it. They know it too. Because when I go on these trips, the funny thing, I think I told you this, the day I got to Hawaii last week, like literally the day, this happens almost every trip. And I told my coach, and he's so funny. I get so many referrals the day
Yeah.
I travel.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, that day I had 4 referrals. All $1 million clients.
Wow.
And I just laughed. And I'll let them know. I send them a picture. I think I even sent you a picture too.
You did. Yeah. Yeah. Of you and your son,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I take a lot of photos of Noah and I, and I'll send them a photo and say, I'll be back next Wednesday. And they go, enjoy your trip. We're good. Like,
Yeah.
have
Leave
fun,
me
enjoy it.
alone. Yeah. They
Yeah.
respect that. Yeah.
They
Totally. I love
support it.
that.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
really, really support it. And then they're cool waiting. And then I come back, they're all cool. And
I
it
love it.
makes it so now like I have that whole work-life balance. If it exists, yeah, it exists, but you gotta be very intentional with it.
Well,
Yeah,
I
and the
think
people around me,
yeah.
they know where I go, and they know how much fun I have for sure.
But you take them with you, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. I do the same thing, and like when you take people with you, it's like it inspires them to live their life, right? And I think that's what it's all about. So I want to thank you because you are a great role model. I wish more people in our world lived like a happy, fulfilled life like you live. And Matt, I'm so glad I met you on the beach that day, and that I have you now in our world. And thanks for all you do for our industry, and thanks for being on the episode today.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. See you on the next episode.
Mahalo nui loa for kukua.
Yay. I love it. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.